Let's end this little pattern series with a look at Affinity. And in Affinity, you have two different types of fills that could be defined as patterns. So let's take a look at that. In order to apply that, select the shape and then go into the swatches panel, and inside of that you can select fill or stroke, and then inside of here we have something that's called hatches, and inside of here you find a couple of default hatches that you can just apply to your object. You can also go to the fill tool and then select fill or stroke here and then set the type to hatch here, and then you see we have applied it directly. With this, you only apply the basic hatch, and then you have to configure that on your own from there. So let's take a look at what hatches are. So inside of a hatch, you have a basic stroke, and that one gets repeated. You can set up a distance for the repeat, and you can set up the angle for the stroke. The stroke can also have dashes, as you can see here, and again it can be repeated at certain distances, and you can have a couple of these strokes inside of your hatch, and that can be a lot of them. In order to set this up, you see there are the controls, and you can adjust that directly inside of the object, or you can click up here in order to adjust that. You see there's the first line, and if you open that, then you see we have the spacing here, and if you want to have dashes, then you set them up here, dashes and spaces. And you can set up an additional line, and let's set this to a different rotation. You see it already rotates, and again you set up the spacing here in order to adjust that, and by clicking here you add more and more and more and adjust them. Now there's another type of pattern fill, but for those you do not have any presets, you have to create them on your own. You can do that in the same file on a different artboard or in a different document. I have set that up already. So I've set up a document in the size I want the pattern to be, and then inside of that you can draw your objects. So just draw your objects. You can use any tool to do that, or place raster images, and sometimes you might have an object that crosses that border. So maybe we have this here, and if you do that, then you have to copy that to the other side and be very careful that it's the same distance. So I will not watch out for the distance, I'm just going to copy it over. So that's what you would have to be, and of course it needs to match the size of the document. So you have to take care of that yourself. When you're done with your pattern, then you export that, and you need to export it as a pixel image, because Affinity only supports raster patterns. So you select a PNG, and then of course sufficient resolution for that, and export that. Then you go into the other document and again select that shape and the fill tool and select bitmap from here. And then you can select that file that you have created. I'm going to enlarge that so that we can see it. And there you see, this is the pattern I have created and then applied inside of this object. And it gets repeated. So to sum this up, in Affinity, we have vector-based patterns only when using hatches, and there are also only presets for hatches. Hatches and patterns are adjustable. You can rotate them and scale them, change the angle, etc. But only hatches are dynamically editable. They adjust whenever used. When you want to create a repeat, then you have to do that completely on your own. There's no assistance with that, and it also doesn't support different repeats. And again, repeats can only be used as bitmap images in Affinity.